Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today, as you can see, we are going to be creating the Squid Game intro in DaVinci Resolve. This is going to be an awesome one. It is super technical, but the title sequence itself was super fun to create. So I'm super pumped just to jump straight into the tutorial. I will say though, before we do that, if you have no knowledge of Fusion, this isn't the tutorial for you. This is not going to go over the basics, right? We are creating this title sequence, and that's what I will be teaching you. Biggest thing you're gonna need for this title sequence is patience. It is a really intricate animation that they created, and as such, it takes a bit of time. That's really the only thing here. But the rest of it is actually quite simple. So with that out of the way, let's jump into DaVinci Resolve and show you how to create the Squid Game intro logo like this. Okay guys, here we go. This is gonna be quite a long tutorial, so grab a coffee. Now, the first thing we're going to want to do before we even jump into DaVinci Resolve is you're going to want to head over to the links in the description and download this free font. Shout out to whoever created this one. Install that in your PC, and then also head on over to Pexels and grab this grunge texture or anything you want really, but I'll leave these two linked down below. So then we're going to go into DaVinci Resolve, create a project and open it up. So this is the logo we're going to be creating. You can see some lines come in and then kind of play together like so. It is quite technical. So before we actually jump in and start creating, I do want to show you the node structure. So what we're going to do is go over to Fusion, and I don't really care about this too much, but I do want to show you the node structure. So this is the tree that we are using. This one over here, this is completely just our background. This little bit here is literally just for the darker bits that appear here. So just for those shapes. And then we have the text, Squid Game text, with a bunch of masks over each individual letter. And that's where this becomes super fiddly. And then we have down the bottom here some lines, which basically are the ones that create all the little animations. And honestly, this is just one of those things that takes a lot of time. So what we want to do is we're going to go back to the edit page, or it doesn't really matter. And we're just going to go new Fusion composition, and we're going to call this Squid Game logo, create that, and then we can double click on that and open it in Fusion. And we're just going to start with the background. Super simple. So all we're going to really do is grab a background down, and we're going to make it that pinky kind of color. Should be fine, and connect it to the media out. So now we have our pink, and up to you what kind of color you want to make it. Now we do want to bring in that grunge texture at this point, the one that we downloaded from the link in the description. So we can literally just drag and drop that into our node tree down here. And we want to basically drag the output to the output of the background. That's going to merge it over the top. And then with the merge node selected, we can just change the apply mode here. So we can go to dissolve, hard light. Actually, hard light looks pretty good. Let's do hard light. And we're gonna leave it like so, and that's literally all we need for the background. So we're actually gonna select this, and with these three nodes selected, we're gonna hit Command or Control G. That's gonna group them together so we don't have to worry about them. And what we'll do is we'll just function F2 to rename it, and we'll just call it background. Now, the next bit is to create the text. So we'll drag a text node down, and we'll just link it down there, and we will call it Squid. Actually, we'll do all capitals, Squid, enter game. And what we're actually going to do is go from font and locate the font that we downloaded, which starts with GGA, Game of Squids. And we're just going to size this font up to where we're comfortable. And I'm actually going to bring them closer together as well. So we'll just leave it like that, and maybe, all right. So this is where it gets kind of complicated. What we want to do is create individual masks for every single letter so that we can control them writing on and off. It's really quite simple. What we're going to do is, without anything selected down here, we're going to hit Shift Space to bring up our tool selector and hit PNM, Mask Paint. And we're going to hit Enter. That's going to add a Mask Paint node. And by default, it's got this little drawing tool. We don't really want that. So we straight away with the mask paint tool selected, we're gonna go over here and we wanna click the polyline stroke. And we're gonna zoom in and we're gonna just start with clicking around the letter S. Perfect, like so. Now, this is enough points for now. We can fine tune it later. What we're gonna wanna do now, this point that we have drawn over the letter, is we're actually gonna connect the output of this mask paint node to the output, to the mask input rather, of the text node. And now you can see, we sort of see the S. So we're gonna select the mask paint node, and then in the inspector over here, go to the brush controls. We're gonna change the brush shape to the square. And then we're just going to increase the size ever so slightly until you see that pixelation go away and we get the whole S. So you can see as I bring it back down, it gets pixelated, so we're just all the way up until it goes away. And you don't want to go too far because that'll start to show the other letters. So you do want to have it just right. Awesome. Now, once that's done, we can actually sort of just disconnect that for now, just so that we don't, that way we can see the rest of the word basically. And we're gonna rename this one. So function F2, and we're gonna call this S. Nice and easy, all right? And now we're gonna go through and do the next. So we're gonna, again, with nothing selected, shift space, P and M, mask paint, and we're going to change it to the polyline stroke. Same with the Q, just gonna create a few lines around here, like so. And then once you've finished the shape, you connect it to the mask input so that you can see the letter. Notice I actually haven't done the line yet. We'll talk about that in a sec. So what we're gonna do is gonna just add a point just to round it out a little bit. And then same thing, brush controls, go to square. And actually for this one, we're gonna go circle brush controls just because it is a round object. And we're just gonna increase the size until we have the circular part of the Q, and as best we can to get rid of this line. Not a big deal if that line is there. And then once we've done that, again, double click that line to get rid of it, function F2, and rename this one Q. So I bet you can understand the next bit is we're going to have nothing selected, shift space, P and M, mask paint, change it to the polyline stroke, and we're going to do another one like so. If at any point you need to add another point in the middle, you just want to go up to here to this little insert and modify, click that, and then that'll let you add another point. All right, nice and simple. And again, we're going to link this through to the mask. With this one, we'll probably go back to the square, which is fine. And again, just play with the size until the whole letter is visible and maybe perfect. Double click that line to get rid of it. Function F2, rename that one U. And we're gonna go through and I'm just gonna quickly do the ID and then we'll come back when we get to the G 1 second. Okay, so now you can see here with the G, all I'm doing is this sort of C shape and I'm ending it there before the little at the end. So I'm gonna get that down, and what with this one, I'm actually gonna name it G1 because I am actually gonna do a secondary stroke. So we're gonna shift, do what we've been doing. And with this one, just click, click, and click. And go to text. Again, increase the size until you get the whole shape. Looking pretty good. We do want to bring that in ever so slightly. Maybe if we bring that point down a little bit. Perfect. That's it. And then again, function F2, G2. And that is just so that we can keep track of it. And what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and do the rest of the letters. And just like with the G1 and G2, the E we're going to break up as well. So we're going to create a new paint mask and create that, and just for this little line here. And you'll see when we get to the animating part why this is important, because it does make a difference. E2. Now, as I was going through this, because I've done this a couple times now, I just realized we do need to do a Q2. So what we're going to do is actually rename this one to Q1. And because of the way we've done it, we can literally just do it now. So we're going to create another mask paint. And for this one, just literally just do a boop and a boop. Connect it to the text. And then just apply the brush and make sure it... All right. If you thought that was the fiddly bit, just wait. So what we're going to want to do now is connect them all. And it's pretty simple. It doesn't really matter what order we connect them to, but I like to start with the S. So we're going to go S, connect it to the input, mask input of the text. And then the Q1, we're going to do to the S, Q2 to the Q1, the U to the Q2, and literally we're just going to keep dragging the output of the one after it to the mask input of the one before it. Done. Now we have the whole word spelled out, and I'm going to show you why we did what we did. So now let's just select random letter M. If we scroll down in the inspector to stroke controls, we get this option called write on, and this allows us to animate the mask writing on. And that's how we're going to create the majority of this animation. So now that we have that all done, we don't have too much more to do except create the lines. So this completely comes down to you in terms of what lines you want to create for the letters. So what I did is I created one for the S, the Q, U, I, and D, one for the E, and one for the G, and I left the A and the M alone. So with this one, it is pretty simple. What we're going to do is actually drag another merge node down here. And with this one, we're going to use the polygon tool, and we're literally just going to drag one down and create a shape. And what will happen is, by default, the shape will be white. And you need to make sure that you're dragging it into the foreground, not the blue, because by default, the polygon will want to go into the blue. So now that we've done that, we're going to actually do the proper one. And we're just going to start letter by letter. And what you want to do is place all your nodes down here. So we're going to grab polygon and then drag that down. And I'm just going to zoom right in. Hitting shift will help create a nice straight line. And I'm going to hit shift again to create one there, there, and there. And if it doesn't fully seal the first time, click again and it will seal. And then connect the output of the polygon to the green arrow or the input of the merge 3 that we created to give us this shape. What I'm going to do now is actually just grab the end and extend it a little bit. Nice. And by the way, if you hold the shift key, that'll give you a nice straight. It won't go up or down. It will only go left and right. Perfect. Now we're going to want to rename this polygon to keep everything nice and compact. So I'm going to do S line, enter. And again, drag a Q, and we're going to zoom in, and we're just going to go here. And I'm literally going to just re-click over the line for the Q, literally like so. And then like what we did above, where we connected them all, we're going to drag the output to the mask input of the S line, rename that one, and go Q line. And we're going to go through and we're going to do another one. And it's up to you which ones you do. So we're going to do the U next. So bring polygon down, zoom right in, just so that we can get the exact dimensions. We're going to boop, boop. Again, holding shift creates nice straight lines. And click to seal. And with this one, I'm going to grab the ends and bring them up, right up here. Connect it to the Q line and F function F2, rename this U line. And then you can kind of see where we're going for this. So we're just gonna go through and do the I now. And actually I'm gonna leave the D because I just realized all the top ones have lines. So I'm gonna leave the D for now. And we're just gonna go straight to the G. If you ever accidentally do the wrong line, just Control Z, rename that one G line. And then the last one we're gonna do is the line here for the E. So create a polygon and we're going to shift click, shift click, shift click, shift click, and again to seal. And then just select, drag those last ones and extend it out a little bit. Connect it to the mask. And then we're going to function F2 E line. And now we have the lines and you can see that the logo is starting to take shape. Now we're getting to the really fiddly bit, which is animating these shapes. All right, so now the animating part. This is the bit that's gonna take the longest and honestly just a little bit of fiddling around. So I'm gonna show you how to do a couple of letters and then sort of let you guys do the rest so that you kind of understand, and then we'll go through how to create the darkening circles. So the way it works is the lines sort of come in, and then as the lines come in, the letters grow. And we're gonna kind of start from the finish. So we're going to pretty much, so what we're going to do is go to the start, and we're going to start with the letter S. And the first thing we're going to want to do is animate the line. So we're going to find the S line, and we're literally just going to animate the position of this one. So it's going to start out here, and then it's going to come in like so. So what we're going to do is obviously at frame 0, move it all the way to the left, come on over to your inspector, find the center attribute, and hit the little diamond to set a keyframe. And timing wise, this is just going to be guessing. So we're going to move forward maybe 5 frames or so. Move it to about here. Now the thing with the logo is the S, U, and E, the lines kind of want to end up the way they are now. So we're going to actually leave it like so. So we have the line coming in. What we want is the S to basically start growing when we get to, I think the next frame. So when we get to this frame here, we want to go to the S node in the tree. So we're going to go to the node here. And then we're going to go to stroke controls, and we're going to play around with the right on. Basically, we want to figure out which one we want. So sometimes you're going to need to move this lever. Sometimes you're going to need to move this one. And so we're going to move it all the way down to here. Set a keyframe, and then move forward a few frames, maybe to frame 10, and move that back. So now if we watch it, we press spacebar, the line comes in, and then the letter grows. And like so. Perfect. Now, the thing with this is a lot of the letters actually happen kind of at the same time. So as the S is kind of going, we're going to want to start to animate the rest. Based off of that, we want to make sure we get the keyframes right for this one first. So now that we've animated this, I'm looking at it and it's going a little quick. So I'm going to slow it down. To do that, I'm actually going to open the keyframe menu up and drop the nodes. And I'm just going to open this up a little bit, find the S line, and then the S, and basically I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. And basically let's drop polyline stroke. And so I want this to take a little bit longer, so I'm just going to highlight that last keyframe, move it forward a bit, maybe to frame 10. And then even though I need this to start when that one finishes, drag that so that it starts as that keyframe ends, and then have this one here and move it towards the end like so. And so now we can go back. So now we can close the keyframes, get the nodes back. Oh my God, there's so much going on. Perfect, so let's play that back. I think that's playing at a much better speed. So now we have it to frame 10. Now there is a weird like abrupt stop as that line comes in. So what we can do with that one is actually play with the spline curves. Now you might think that you want to do this at the very end, but because of how much we have to animate, it is actually better to do it as you go so you don't have too many keyframes to go. So we're actually going to open the spline editor up. And we're going to bring the S line. So just click on it to bring it in. And if you can't see anything, hit this little button here. It'll frame it all. And all I'm going to do is grab that last keyframe and just do that. Shift S and Shift S. So now we have this nice gradual curve. And we can just make sure that when we play it back, that hasn't ruined the animation, which is... And what we'll do as well is we'll grab the S, so we can turn this one off, grab the S again, and then select this bottom keyframe and then Shift S or this button here to ease that. So, and grab that one as well, and the same thing. All right, so all that for one letter. Now we're gonna go through and do that for the rest, but at least we've got the keyframe set out. So we know that at 10, so between 10 and 20 is when the S is coming. So what we're gonna do now is I actually don't like to go in order. So for this next one, to keep it random, I'm actually going to do the U. And so the U can be a really cool one. What we're going to do for this one is at about here, we're going to select the U letter and we're going to go down to the stroke controls and find the right on, and we're going to bring it all the way down so we can't see it. Set a keyframe, move forward a few frames, maybe in between 15 and 20, and write it all the way on. And so now we have it so that the S appears and then the U comes in around about the same time. But Nick, you say, I have this line here that is right in the way. Yes, it is a pain. So what are we to do? So basically, we want this line to appear as the U kind of comes up into it. To do that, what we're going to do is at this frame, if you can have a look here, so it's before it and then one more frame in, it's there. We're going to find the U line and we're actually going to bring this bit down so that it's hidden. And see how I bring it down there, you can actually see the U. So we're actually going to bring it there and animate the level of the U. So what we're going to do is at this point, we're going to animate it so that it is on. We're going to go back a frame and animate it so that it is off. So now it is invisible. And then as it comes up, it's visible. And then we are going to grab the top two, move forward a few frames, maybe to 25. So this one actually can take a while, and we're just going to grab those lines and move it up like so. And so now we have this U comes in and then the U grows up like so. Super easy. Awesome. So next what we might do is let's do the D. So we'll do the D around. So now we have the logo kind of coming together as the S comes in, the D starts to ride on, and as all that starts to happen, then the U starts to appear, and you can see we're getting the shape that we want. So if we go back and have a look what we've done so far. So now we're going to do the I, and the I is going to be very similar. So what we're going to do is get the I line down here, and let's do it around about frame 8. And we're going to move it all the way up. And now that that's out of the frame, we're going to set the keyframe for the center. Look for the I in the little bit here. Click on that, and obviously we want to change the stroke control so that it is invisible. Perfect. And we're going to move forward a few frames. Let's go to frame 15. Grab the I line. We're going to move it all the way down like so into place. And around back here, we're going to set the animation for the right on. And this isn't important because we already have the I there anyway. So it kind of comes in and grows down. Cool. And now we're going to do the Q. So to do the Q, this one is not too hard. We're just going to have the line, the Q2 kind of come up. And then as the Q2 comes up, the rest will appear. So grab the Q1 and we'll do this around, let's do this around frame 6. Doesn't matter what way it goes. Bring the write off value all the way down and don't set a keyframe. Grab the Q2, and what we're going to do is just move it. So now we're going to get the Q line, and we're going to have it come out of the frame. So down here, we're going to have a keyframe set for the center. We're going to move forward to maybe frame 12. At that point, we're going to move it right into where the Q line is, and you can even bring it down a little bit so that it is a little bit longer than normal. And that's fine. And we're just going to find the point where it intersects at that point. At that point there, we will start to grow the Q2 line. So we're actually going to bring it down. So set a keyframe, go forward a few frames, and just have it fully written on. And in between, so maybe about here as that line is coming in, so about there. So we're going to set the keyframe for Q1, move forward a few frames. We can have this one be a little slower and have it right on. So now we have the Q appearing. Perfect. Now let's do another easy one. Let's do the M. So let's do the M about here. So we're going to find the M. And then we're going to just do that. Move forward a bit. Move forward to frame 20. And write it on. Same thing, we can even do the A. So we can do the A a little bit earlier. Just go down to stroke controls. So some of it's not too hard. And then go forward. Write it on. And then we're going to go towards the end. Find the end when everything's more or less done. So we're going to, let's say frame 20. We'll find the E, so E1, the main shape, and we'll set the right on as is, and then we'll go back a little bit. We can make this one a super slow animation. Perfect. And because this is as the animation ends, we're going to do the E line now. Go back to when we're looking at this U. So just as the U finishes at frame 25, we want this to be here. So we're going to keyframe that center. And then we're going to want this line to start coming the moment this E has finished. So here, and we'll move it off screen. And so that E will come and replace that line. And so because of that, what we'll do is we'll grab E2 and we're just going to actually completely write that one off so you can't see that line at all. And the line for the E will come in and take over. Last one we're gonna do is the G, guys, and then we're done. So with the G, we're gonna go to frame 6 or 8. Let's go to frame 10. We don't wanna go too fast. Let's start at frame 10, and we're gonna go to G1. And we're going to go stroke controls, write it off. We're going to write it off from the top. So we're going to bring this one in, set a keyframe, move forward to maybe frame 15, and then write it all the way on. As it's written all the way on, we are also going to grow the G2 line. So nice and easy, we are going to set the keyframe for the right on, but we're going to have it like so. Move forward to frame 20, where everything's pretty much done. Have the G finish, and then we just have the G line to animate, which is going to be super simple because basically we just want to move this off frame for a sec. Find the frame where the G starts to form. So here, we can move this into place about there, set the keyframe, and then just backtrack a little bit. So nice and easy. We have the animation, where the writing kind of comes in and everything sort of builds out. So the last step is to they have a little color in the Q, the A, and the M. That is honestly one of the easiest things to create. So we're just going to move everything aside. I'm going to bring another merge node. So just drag this and hold shift to drop it in there. And we are literally just going to grab a background where we are going to pretty much just bring a black background with a little alpha into the foreground and just control the alpha in the inspector until it's a little darker. Nice. And then literally, with the background selected, we're going to use the polygon, and we are going to create shift, 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 shift. Click. With the polygon selected, we go another polygon, and we can do the same thing for the A. And then again, with the polygon selected, actually for this one, actually it doesn't really matter to be honest. We can just use polygon again, and we can just click around the queue as best you can. Boop. Now you have your darking parts, and basically as the E comes in the animation, so around frame 25, so around frame 25, with the merge node selected, this is the one we're actually going to use. We're actually just going to animate the blend. So we're literally going to go to 0, hit it with this merge 4, move forward a few frames, not too many, maybe just to there, move the blend on, and now you have that logo and everything works well. And that's it, guys. That's the Squid Game logo. So there you have it, how to create the Squid Game intro inside DaVinci Resolve. Hopefully you guys love this tutorial. If you want to see more tutorials like this one, consider subscribing to the channel and definitely drop a thumbs up on this video. Let me know in the comments below what you would like to see or what you thought of this tutorial. And until the next one, guys, I'll catch you guys later.